I want us to jump into the current news event that's going on, and we know all the different things that have been taking place with the killing of the Iraqi or the Iranian general who was actually in Iraq stirring things up against the United States. And now we have a number of things that have taken place since then. And that's what brings us to this news article today. And this is the article is by Michael Snyder. It was over at newswars.com, and it is, why is Iran flying a blood red flag over a famous mosque that is directly associated with the Mahdi? And so here's the basics. For the first time ever, a blood red flag is being flown over the famous Jamkaran Mosque in the Iranian holy city of Qom, or however you might say that. If you have not seen it yet, you can watch it. Okay, there. Anyway, there's actually a picture at newswars.com if you want to take a look at it. The hoisting of this flag was broadcast on Iranian state television, and it was obviously intended to send a message to Shiites all over the globe. And so, what is the message? That's what I wanted to talk about today. Well, it says here, we are just being told, according to the Shiite tradition, red flag represents both blood spilled unjustly and a call for revenge. But let's go to a little bit deeper here. Red flags in the Shiite tradition symbolize both blood spilled unjustly and serve as a call to vengeance to the person who is slain. It is the first time in history that the red flag has been hoisted on top of the Jamkaran Mosque in the Iranian city, and comes after warnings of harsh retaliation against the U.S. Red flags have also been spotted flying at anti-U.S. demonstrations in Tehran over the past few days. Clearly, the Iranians want blood. They will never ever forgive us for the killing of Qasem Soleimani, and their faith requires that he be avenged. There is also a message inscribed on the red blood flag that is now flying above the Jamkaran Mosque, and apparently it is the reference to the death of the grandson of Muhammad. The flag inscribed with the words, "Those who want to avenge the blood of Hussein," was hoisted above the mosque shrine for what local reports claim was the first time in history, according to the Daily Mail. The grandson of Hussein was decapitated in AD 680 during the Second Islamic Civil War, when Muslims were fighting over who was the proper successor to their prophet. And the act was met with bloody retaliation from Muslims who considered Hussein's death unjust and sought to avenge him. Obviously, the Iranians are viewing this as something much bigger than simply extracting sufficient revenge for the death of a deeply loved national leader. Rather, they seem to be using this moment as a call to wage jihad against all the enemies of Shia Islam. As mentioned before, this flag was raised over the particular mosque in is a very big deal. The Jamkaran Mosque is considered to be one of the holiest sites in Shia Islam, and it is also associated with the future reappearance of the Mahdi. In fact, as the flag was being hoisted, there was a direct reference to the Mahdi. As the flag was raised in Qom, the mosque speakers called, "O Allah, hasten your custodian reappearance," a reference to the end time reappearance of the Mahdi. And in Iran today, most of the national leaders believe that the 12th Imam, which is Muhammad al-Mahdi, was born in Iraq in 869 and never died. Just before Judgment Day, the Mahdi is supposed to reappear along with Jesus during a time of war and chaos to bring peace to the world and establish Islam as the ruling faith across the globe. So it's also commonly believed that the Mahdi is coming very soon, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, we got to understand that this is the mindset of these radical Shiites. They want to die as martyrs, therefore they'll be rewarded in the afterlife, And war with America and the loss of their life really is just means they want to see they're willing to lay down everything in order to avenge this general. They're willing to lay down everything for the reappearance of the Mahdi. Now, understand again that the Mahdi was born. They just believe he never died, and he is just going to appear. Interesting parallels that they try to bring in that you might see within biblical faith. But yeah, thank you, Mark, for pulling that up. There's the flag over that deal. So I want to throw it out there and say, you know, we've got all of these things are going on. Was it the right thing for President Trump to order the killing of this general who was actually, in fact, seen in the green zone at the big protest in front of the U.S. Embassy the other day? And as he was leaving and he was heading towards the airport, they did a drone strike. So they killed him, took out others. And so it stirred up a lot of things. Some people are calling in the media saying this is the verge of World War III because of how this thing can escalate. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts. Are we seeing something that is going to escalate? Are the Iranians going to take it further? Are they going to activate sleeper cells in America? Is this a big deal? Is this something we were looking at as a biblical event? What do y'all think? I'm going to put it on the table. And Darryl, I want to bring it to you first. What are your thoughts?
This guy should have been taken out decades ago. He is the chief terror orchestrator in the world, probably. And Trump warned Iran many times. When they took down, there was back in April, I think it was, when Iran shot down an unmanned drone, and Bolton and some of the other war hawks were banging the drum that we need to go blow Iran to smithereens because they shot down our paper airplane or something like that. And then Trump pulled back at the last minute because he says it was going to cost 150 lives. And it's not worth it for an unmanned drone. But he did say over and over, if there are U.S. lives lost, then Iran will pay a steep price. And when you compare that to what Obama did, which was, you know, give Iran $150 billion so they could continue their nuclear weapons program, the Illuminati under Pike orchestrated or planned out the 3 world wars. 1 and 2 happened exactly the way that they were supposed to. And World War III is supposed to be Israel and Islam. And when we see the prophecy of Gog and Magog, the war of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38 and 39, we know that Russia is going to align with some of Israel's enemies, and they're going to try to invade, and then God is going to supernaturally just wipe out that army. And Putin is, he's beating his chest right now. He's getting very bold, and something is going to trigger him going in there. We thought it might have been, Israel rattling sabers with Syria or something like that. We don't know what it's going to be. But in all of this, God is orchestrating events to bring about the war of Gog and Magog, a supernatural deliverance of Israel, and then the rise of the Antichrist. But part of what's happening, I mean, if you look at Australia right now too, Australia is burning. And the reason why Australia is burning is because it's being judged. There's so much immorality. I had someone tell me last night there's actually been a lot of false prophecies coming out of Australia too. So should this guy have been killed? Yeah, he should have been. I mean, he has been planning terror attacks. It's like, the others that they've taken out. I remember when they invaded Iraq after 9/11. And you had the guy whose name was Zarqawi, and he was beheading people. It was kind of the first instance of beheading on the internet. And there is no appeasing these people. So if they say that, it's going to cause Iran to for more vengeance, well, Islam's whole purpose is world domination anyway, and whether they do it slowly or quickly, it doesn't matter. They're still after complete domination of the world. And Iran is looking to take over the Middle East. They are at constant war with the Sunni Muslims, which are in Iraq. Most actually of the Middle East is Sunni Muslim. The Sunnis and the Shiites hate each other. And if it wasn't for the fact that they had Christianity and Judaism to fight, they'd be killing each other all day long. I don't think there's anything else you could do. Trump drew a line in the sand, said if there's U.S. lives lost, there's going to be retribution. This guy is a parasite. He was an evil man. He has planned over decades the deaths of literally thousands of people. And he did what Trump told him not to do, and Trump said, okay. And the one thing that Trump has done since he came to office is that when he promises he's going to do something, he does it. The problem is that we've had a deep state that has been planning the destruction of the U.S. for decades now, starting off with, David Rockefeller back in the 60s. And and Obama carried that plan out meticulously for, Obama was the setup pitcher. Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the closer, and she was supposed to close down the U.S. God had mercy on the U.S., brought in Trump instead. And he's trying to do the best that he can to prevent this from happening, but he's not getting a whole lot of support. So are we going to face terror attacks? Probably. But this is what they do. This is what they've always done. This is what they will always do. So either we try to pretend it doesn't exist and we appease like Neville Chamberlain did. And 6 months before the invasion of Poland, came home and said to everybody, there's peace in our time, quickly leading up to 50 million people dying in World War II. Or we take a stand and we say, you know what, the U.S. still has the greatest military in the world. We better start using it before it's too late.
All right. Yeah, no, really good thoughts there. In fact, there's so much that I'm looking at is that I think Iran, for one of the countries, has had such they've been so vocal about coming against the United States and Israel is because they've looked at Western leadership as weak. And you mentioned this, Darryl, is that we really are a divided country. We've got a country that is doing everything it can to weaken the presidency of the United States. We've got so many divisions going on between races and cultures and economic classes and education.
Done on purpose.
All of it done on purpose. And you're right about that. I mean, it started all the way back with the Clintons. And even as you said, with the Rockefellers going all the way back to the 60s, it's all been a setup to bring to a culmination to today. And when they look at us as weak, they think they can do whatever they can. In fact, they thought that even the demonstrations there at the embassy in Baghdad was because they didn't think we were going to do anything. And President Trump hasn't done anything because U.S. presidents have typically been weak when it comes to attacks on American soil, other than during the time of Clinton when he threw a couple rockets over into Kenya and Nairobi and blew up some pharmaceutical plants or something like that during the time of the Monica Lewinsky ordeal, kind of take the news off of himself. But other than that, I mean, that really wasn't a show of strength. President Trump is actually giving a show of strength and to show that American means business don't do anything, but it takes us, don't do anything to us or it will escalate. We're going to take it further. And, which leads us to the next point is I'm going to bring Mark back in. Mark, what do you think? Is this going to be an escalation to all-out war which is brought to Israel, as Darryl is talking about, the Gog-Magog war? How serious is this? You're muted, Mark. Oh, there you go.
Well, what the rabbi said, I mean, that was incredible, Darryl. It was really good. And John, you're always so versed on all this stuff, which I am not. And in answer to your question, no, I don't believe so. I believe we have a lot of other things going on. this might be at the top of the heap as one of the main things, but I think we still have time. I think Armageddon's in the future. I don't think we're that close to it. But I am no scholar on these matters at all. I don't watch them nearly as close as you guys do. So I don't know. Maybe I am one of those that it's one of those things where I have seen too many times in the past 20 years people predicting that it's going to happen now. Get ready. This is time. Maybe I'm one of those type of people. But if I am, I am. I think it's one of those things where I'll wait and listen to you guys tell me, okay, it's time, it's going to happen, and then I'll go with it.
All right. Yeah. I think we got a lot to be looking at because we have a lot of things that are coming together, in my opinion, of the perfect storm. We have these elements within the Middle East that they've been brewing for a long time. We've seen Iran in Syria. We've seen Israel attacking Iranian locations within Syria. We've seen the connection between Hezbollah in Iran and Hamas in Iran. We see all of these elements there. But then we've got the division within the United States. We've got the things in Virginia with the gun grab that the governor is proposing to do. We have that type of element going on even within Colorado and within California, where different states are out and out against the direction that this president wants to go. It's divisions within the states. We have earthquakes going in different parts of the world. There's a major earthquake that just took place off the coast of Puerto Rico over the weekend. That they're saying that it could an eruption there, where we have a big magma dome, I guess that is rising off the coast of Puerto Rico, where the earthquake is taking place. And then when they say it is so big and so large, it could create a tsunami that could affect the East Coast and the Gulf Coast of the United States. They're talking about things going on in the Cascadia range where earthquakes. I mean, elements everywhere going on, things happening in the solar system. We have things that could bring down our communications and bring down the economy. Anything could happen. Anything could be triggered with one. And maybe is the taking out of this general part of the trigger, or is it just part of the process? Or as you're saying, Mark, how do we have more to go? Are things going to blow up by Passover, or do we still have time on the clock to where we can keep getting this word out? I mean, those are some things that I think about. These are some things that I go through my brain, and not that I stay up at night thinking about them. Not at this point in time. But
I disagree with that.
But it does concern me, all these different things, because we need to be awake and we need to be aware. But it's very interesting the time that we're living in, and how many people are not paying attention. As Tammy says, the masses are asleep. Well, it says PTB. I'm not sure what that means. Want the masses asleep, but many of the masses are wide awake and spreading the news. So yeah, there is an awakening that's going on, and yet there's still
powers that be. The
powers that be. There we go. Thank you, Sandy. So anyway, elements that I want us to keep an eye on and pay attention to. This could be a big deal, and that's why I wanted to bring it on as a subject to talk about today.
Potentially could be a big deal.
Yeah, potentially could be. So keep your eyes wide open. So
I know there's a lot of believers who don't want to delve into this. They think it's all negative and whatnot. But if we're not going to be watchmen, if we're not going to be seeing what's going on out there, and if we're only going to focus on the spiritual, if we're only going to focus on the good things of God, God calls us to be ready in season and out of season.
That's right.
And if we don't have any idea of what's going on, how can we minister to our congregations and talk to them about, Jesus loves me, yes, I know, for the Bible tells me so, when all hell is breaking loose in their lives? And if, there are terrorist attacks that start erupting in the United States, Canada can't be far behind. We had 2 of them in Toronto back in the summer of 18 with the van attack and then the shooting on the Danforth. That's
Yes.
a warning shot. And it's escalating. And as Trudeau continues to invite Islam into the country and to slaughter babies both here and around the world, and to, bring about every abomination that's offensive to God, the judgment has to come. And if we're not warning our people that you better put on your big boy pants and start getting prepared, because things are going to get difficult. People's faith is going to fall away. Many will fall away. And I keep coming back to this verse over and over and over again in Matthew 24. Yeshua says many will fall away because their faith is only based on what Joel Osteen is telling them, that God loves you so much he wants your best life now. No, he doesn't. Your best life is to come, because if this is your best life now, you ain't saved. My best life is in heaven. My best life is in eyes haven't seen, ears haven't heard, nor is the heart discerned the things that are in store for those who love God. Yeshua said in John 16:33 that I tell you these things because you will face many tribulations in the world, but fear not, I have overcome not the tribulations, he has overcome the world. And we got to stop selling people a bill of goods that as soon as you come to Yeshua, all of your problems get solved. My life became much more difficult once I got into ministry, because now I had a target on my back.
Yeah, that's an understatement there. That's really true. But isn't that? But I like how you capsulized that whole thing, because honestly, we do. We are supposed to talk about the times that we're living in, and there's a lot of people that just don't want to hear it.
And prepare.
Yeah, and
whether it's for us or other generations, it's just
it is very important that we pay attention to what's going on and know what's happening out there. So, and I just think about an article we talked about in the past where the millennials are leaving religion and not coming back. And we talked about that. So yeah, there's your word, Mark, millennials. So, but think about that is that we need to somehow be able to communicate this message to the younger generations that have heard, a lot of them have heard, Jesus is coming back. You need to repent. The rapture is right around the corner and whatever, 88 reasons that he's coming back in 1988 and all these different things have been big disappointments for a lot of different people. And they're like, we're done with religion. We're done with all this. We have to somehow renew this type of message because there is a whole younger generation that is somehow we've been disconnected with. And honestly, I think it's going to take revival. It's going to take an awakening that needs to come through it needs to sweep through Canada, it needs to sweep through the United States, around the world. So.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.